every stand here, wrapped completely and entirely around the building. I think they have I think it's about 15 gates, 15 stands, and in the morning, everyone will be full, and then about this time of the day, you'll see a few of them because they're all heading out probably to Memphis to their main hub. So you can see Hangar 1 coming up. It's on the left-hand side of the alley over there. It's going to be on the left side now, guys, as we're heading this way, as we're heading south. I don't know if anybody looked at any old pictures at Flight Path. I'm sure they've got plenty of them, but this hangar was really all by itself. There was nothing around it, so I actually like all that historical stuff. It's just a bunch of dirt. We had a dirt runway right out here. And now, obviously moving over to the right side. My understanding is the hangar doors, everything associated with this building is original, including the roof. So it's actually, like I said, it's kind of hidden back here, but it is really cool having something that's been around for, again, 80 or 90 years. We got DHL now on the right. So you can see why we do so well with our cargo operations. Again, UPS, FedEx, DHL, Korean cargo is huge, Singapore cargo, which we just passed. Now you see coming up on the right here, this long alley, it's taxi lane Alpha 1 we call it, but as you can see we only have one freighter back there in the far corner. This is what we call our International Cargo or Imperial Cargo Complex, ICC. There's 10 parking spots back in here, and we do lots and lots of freight activity out here. Right now it's really, really quiet. Tuesdays aren't really one of the busiest days, but we've got China Airlines that usually parks where that airplane is. Their cargo only operations. Delta's back in here. Cathay Pacific. So a lot of the international carriers that also run just freight will do their freight operations back in here. One other thing, I'm not sure how familiar you folks are with the rail lines that they're working on to get here into the airport. So right along here, along the edge of the dirt here, you can see the concrete wall with the fence. So that's going to be what they call the extension to the green line. The green line is the line that runs parallel to the 105. But unfortunately now it stops about a mile from the airport. So what they're doing now is they're extending that line so it makes the turn. It goes underground right here because this is the approach to a runway. So we got to put it underground. But it takes you directly over to what's going to be the automated people mover, the APM. I'm not sure if you guys have heard or read about that. But this metro line, again, it's underground right here because of the approach to the runways. Once we get over here, it'll start coming back up above grade, but that will join over at the automated people mover, so you can take essentially the green line from Norwalk directly to the airport, where now you have to get off and take a bus. right, you guys are used to seeing the big airplanes. This little guy right here, it's a Pilatus PC-12. And he actually flies back and forth, holds 9 people, I think is what its maximum load is. He flies back and forth up to Visalia. So he just brings passengers from Visalia to LAX and back. That's all he does is round trips all day. Again, real quiet back up in this alley here. We have another, I think it's 8 parking spots for airplanes. Again, it's the middle of the day on a Tuesday. But if we came back later tonight, you'd have 8 airplanes parked out here. And the other thing, just kind of give you guys a sense of where you're at. We're on the south side of the airport right now. This is considered our south complex. So we have the 2 runways here. We call the 2.5s, 2.5 left and 2.5 right. Okay. Okay, so we're on the other one. Alright, I think this is going to be fun for you guys. Now, if you guys ever end up, hopefully a lot of you will, if not all of you, end up working for the airport. I've been here 23 years with LAWA. I worked for the airlines for 10 years before that. But what's going to happen now, I'll be retired, but in the next couple of years, I'll show you right back in here. See this big building right here on the right? That's what we call the kind of the yellowish, funky color, old, needs paint color. This whole area back in here is all going to get torn out, and it's going to become a new. Anybody know how many terminals we have at the airport right now?
8.
Okay, so what do you think this one's going to be? 9. There you go. So you guys already know about Terminal 9? Oh, okay, shut up. Forget it. So anyway, United Airlines is going to build a new terminal back in here with, I don't know, 15 or 18 gates or something like that. They're not giving up any other property. They will still have their Terminal 7. They'll still have their Terminal 8. There will be a bridge that they'll build across the Polo Boulevard from Terminal 8 that will connect Terminal 8 and Terminal 9. So in 5 years or so, this whole area back in here won't look anything like this.
Que l'avion passe.
On the right, it's a good view of the pylons that were put in, I don't know, what, 17 or 18 years ago, I think, something like that. It's a good view of the old tower. Right, so here's a very, very busy stretch of this airport. These are the big guys. These are the legacy carriers. Remember, Delta moved just a few years ago. Otherwise, you had in Terminal 8 and 7, you got United. Terminal 6 coming up is mostly Alaska Airlines, but you've also got Air Canada mixed in there. We do also have a couple of international carriers, Thomas Cook, which is a seasonal carrier. If anybody can see the big crane up there right over the tails of these Alaska airplanes that's swinging around, that big tower crane a little further north. Maybe once we get on the other side of this Air Canada. So if you look just to the right of the tower, there's that big tower crane right behind the theme building there. So that's building what we call Terminal 1.5, and that's a new building between Terminal 1 and Terminal 2. It's going to have a bunch of ticket counters, screening, and all kinds of fun stuff. So Terminal 5 now, this used up until 3 years ago, this was Delta exclusively out of Terminal 5. Now you've got JetBlue. American Airlines has 4 gates. There's Spirit Airlines, Hawaiian. Who am I missing? Were you here early this morning?
No, I just got here.
Oh, okay. Wow, got the whole from basically where we're going, want to stay here.
Escuchan mi logo. Baldwin Samboa.
And here's obviously Terminal 4, that's American's terminal. They're going to be spending on, I think, $1.5 billion to remodel Terminal 4. They're also going to take over the majority of Terminal 5 at some point. So we'll have to find new homes again for Frontier and Hawaiian and all those folks. Okay, and coming up next, obviously, is the Tom Bradley terminal.
International. Ponema Vola International.
And I think for another statistic, don't quote me on it, I think I'm going to be pretty close though, but in terms of the A380 operations, the Group 6 operations, I believe that LAX is ranked number 3rd or 4th in the world for the Airbus, the A380 operations. And if you look down the line here, the KLM, that's their 747. Then you got the 7, that's a 777. Where's our, okay, so I think that's Singapore, the 3rd one down there. That's an A380. That airplane only fits on maybe half a dozen gates here at the airport because it's so big. Right off to the right, you can see the construction here. I think we're going to get a little bit closer, but that's the new MSC, the Midfield Satellite Concourse. And you can see the tallest part of that building. So that's going to be a ramp control tower, and the airport ops folks are going to get additional training, and we'll do ramp control functions out of that building up there. It's the first time we've ever done it airport ops, LAWA airport ops. The first time that our staff has ever controlled any alleys here at the airport, so we're all kind of excited. Unfortunately, this high bay hangar here for American, that's going to get torn down at some point in the future. Right, so another a major feature here at the airport, may not seem like it in terms of the building, but coming up here on the left is our Crash 80 or ARF 80. This is our aircraft rescue and firefighting facility. We're required, obviously, as a commercial airport to have a certain amount of rigs. They're required to spray a certain amount of foam in a certain amount of time. They're required in the event of an aircraft accident to be to that accident anywhere on the airport within 3 minutes. So that's why they're pretty much centrally located right in the middle. But that's we call ARF 80 or Crash 80.
Building right there? The white building?
Yeah.
Where you walk?
Is that
To the end. You see? Right there.
Back over on the right, there's a good view of MSC. So it's coming along. This is, I believe, an additional 12 gates. Combination of mostly the Group 5, which are 747 and smaller aircraft. I think there's a couple of Group 6, which are the A380. But what this does is it gives us a lot more capacity. So right now, on any given day, we have to have aircraft do it the old-fashioned way, board on stairs down to the ground, and they get bust. That's because we're over capacity. We just don't have enough gates to handle the, especially during our peaks, the amount of flights that we have. At any given time out here at Bradley, we'll have 25 simultaneous flights, and we don't have that many gates. But as you can see, MSC is going to bring on 12 gates. The first phase of openings for that terminal is, we're keeping our fingers crossed, maybe May. Likely it's probably going to be a little bit past that, but if I had any of our engineering folks or our project folks on here, they'd throw me off if I said that. But yeah, so we're hoping maybe May or June we'll get the first few gates. And then by third quarter next year, it should be completely operational. We'll have all new gates. This is a North Complex. If you look off to the right, I don't think we're going down that way, but Delta's the big guy up here now. They now occupy Terminal 2 and 3. As I mentioned earlier, they moved from the south side about 3 years ago. So heavy presence up here at 2 and 3, and then Terminal 1 is exclusively southwest. On the right, this is what we consider our North Complex. These are the 2-4 runways. We basically split the airfield in half. We have the north side and we have the south side.
Ugcwele indlela navion ezokathi
Quick, yeah, go around 209, let's go all the way around.
ezoduna yoma obake Japan. Japan bake lia misili na Japan.
Okay, folks, so right here on the left, you're going to see this whole area. These are what we call our west remote gates, the ocean view gates, if you will. We've got out here, these are basically an extension of the Tom Bradley terminal. We've got about 27 more gates out here. The only drawback here is right back kind of off our left here. We only have about 9 gates that actually have an actual boarding bridge. The rest are all hard stands. As I mentioned earlier, we unfortunately end up using a hard stand, meaning there is no boarding bridge. So you have to do it the old-fashioned way, push stairs up to the airplane and then board directly down to the ramp. But this is essentially all bus operation. So if you end up out here as an air carrier, then you end up with our bus drivers here bringing you back and forth from the Bradley terminal out to the gates. Either it could be both ways or it could be one way or the other. And then just off to the right, just right over the hills there, there used to be, well, in the hills there, years and years ago, there were a bunch of really nice homes, but obviously they couldn't handle the noise, so and as the airport grew into the jet age, so those homes have all been demolished. But here's our Qantas hangar. I think that's where we're going to go to get a nice picture. They just completed that, I don't know, a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. Time flies. But LAX, as far as Qantas is concerned for maintenance, is a huge operation. So they spent, I don't know, I think $70 million or something like that on that hangar. But the idea is that Qantas will bring in, and we'll get a better look once we get over there. Qantas every morning brings in about 3 or 4 flights. It comes in from Melbourne, comes in from Sydney, from Brisbane. Those airplanes all come in about 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 or 7 in the morning, and they come over here, they get towed over here to the facility, and they work on them all day, and then they fly back out again to Sydney and Melbourne and those major cities in Australia at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. All right, so coming up on the right here is Delta's equivalent to the Qantas hangar. As you can see, it's still under construction. They've been working on it for about a year, maybe a little bit less. They're getting close. The building, for the most part, is done. They're doing some work out in front, building out office space and so on. But again, the idea is Delta does a lot of maintenance here at LAX because it's a hub, so they need that hangar space to perform all that work. Okay, so this area on the right, we call it WAMA, which is the acronym for West Area Maintenance, the West Maintenance Area. West Aircraft Maintenance Area. I'll get that right. And as you can see over here right in front of us, we've got two of Qantas's A380s. And again, they came in about 6 o'clock this morning. They offload, they immediately tow back over here, and mechanics work on them until they depart back for Australia tonight, typically somewhere between 10 p.m. and midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And if anybody likes paint schemes, that's one of their really cool paint schemes. That's the 787 in the hangar there.
Je pars avec cet avion
Oh, you graduate coming out. Oh, nice.
Les gens qui travaillent ici viennent chaque matin vers l'Australie et ils rentrent la nuit. Ils reviennent encore les matins. Les techniciens des Qantas Airlines. C'est vraiment génial.
I painted a plane.
Nous sommes seulement dans un entrepôt de Qantas Airlines de l'Australie. Vous voyez, donc,